Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Chastity. Here we talk about beauty, entertainment, celebrities, books, movies, anime, TV shows, and kind of anything else that garners my attention this week. Do not mind what's happening in the background. I'm redecorating, and I ordered 30 of these little hearts, not realizing how actually little these hearts were, so I thought 30 would be enough for both sides of my wall. It wasn't, and it's gonna take time to get more, like for it to be delivered. So for these next couple of videos, let's pretend they're mirrored, okay? Let's just live in that fantasy world. But before we get into today's video, I am a part of Amazon's influencer program. So if you click the link in the pinned comment below, it'll take you over to my Amazon storefront where you can shop all of my favorite things. So if you want to do a little shopping while also supporting me, click the link in the pinned comment below. And today we are talking about HBO Max's new limited series, We Own This City, and whether or not it is a successor to The Wire. This limited series is based on a book called We Own This City, a true story of crime, cops, and corruptions by Baltimore Sun reporter Justin Fenton. The drama chronicles the rise and fall of Baltimore Police Department's Gun Trace Task Force and exposes the corruption of mass arrests and drug prohibition being championed at the expense of actual police work. We Own This City was written and created by David Simon, the same man who created The Wire, and a man named George, whose last name I cannot pronounce and will not be butchering today in this video. We Own This City is starring John Barthol, and he is playing Officer Wayne Jenkins. Now, like I mentioned, the show is based off a book, and this book is based off of true events. Actually, pretty recent events. This all went down in 2017. I will have a link to an article where you can learn a lot more about Wayne Jenkins and the actual menace that this man was if you don't want to watch the show, but you still want to learn more about what happened. Before we even get into this video like fully, I want to make it very clear that I actually very much so enjoyed We Own This City. And I know it's not going to seem like that as this video goes on, but just know I do actually very much so like this show, like on the entertainment spectrum, was very much so entertained. Now, just because I like something, that doesn't mean I can't also be critical of it. And again, this video is not really a review of We Own This City, but whether or not it's a competent successor for The Wire. And those are two separate things. And even though this show was made by the same man, these shows are vastly different, and we're gonna really get into that. And I have strong feelings and opinions, like I always do, but I just want to be very clear. I liked the show. I enjoyed it. I recommended it to my mother, who is also a huge fan of The Wire. She loves that show. She rewatches it all the time, and she did enjoy We Own This City. Let's start with the good. The cast did an amazing job with the script they were given. I'm gonna get into that later. But John Barthol playing Wayne Jenkins was genius, because John Barthol, if you've seen his interviews, if you see him in anything else, he is very charming, very likable, very lovely, and he was able to turn all that off and be douchebag dickhead Wayne Jenkins, and it is astounding how a person that has so much charisma and so much charm could turn into somebody that I hate to my very core, okay? I would get so annoyed when I would see Wayne Jenkins on screen, because I already knew this man was going to be bullshitting. I already knew he was about to be running people's pockets. I was sick every time I saw that man on screen. Which again is a testament to how good of an actor John is, because John Barthol is my favorite white man actor. Like, he is talented and deserves to be in even more things. And again, he has such a nice energy, so it's really nice to see him play an asshole and play it so well. Wumi Masaku ate down for all 6 episodes. She was in all of my favorite scenes. She is an extremely talented actress, and we desperately need her in more things. Like, it is her charisma, her energy, the way the camera just goes straight to her. In a show with terrible dialogue and terrible lines, she delivered every single time. Also, a lot of the actors that were in The Wire were also in We Own This City, especially the child actors, which, if you've ever watched The Wire, then you know that The Wire has the best child actors to ever touch your screen. Okay, those kids in The Wire were acting down. And so it's so nice to see a lot of those kids as grown men now still being amazing and extremely competent actors, and seeing them just kind of like grow up and playing a lot of the times like exact opposite versions of the characters they played in The Wire. That was very smart and very good from the perspective of casting. I think this show did a really good job at not glorifying police officers, specifically the Baltimore police. There was not a point in this show that I really felt bad for any of these crooked cops, and everything they got at the end is exactly what they deserved, maybe not even deserved enough, in my opinion. But not once do I feel sympathy, not once do I feel bad, and I very much so think that's the point. They were not trying to make you feel for these people because they should know better. They are police officers, their job is to serve and protect, and they're doing the exact opposite. And because this very easily could have turned into propaganda, and I don't think it does that. Again, that's my opinion. You might disagree with that. Definitely sound off in the comments if you do. But I just feel like not at one point do I feel for any of these police officers. Like, they're fully fleshed out characters, but I don't feel bad for them. And I feel like that is a very, very fine line that as a writer you have to toe when you're dealing with situations like this. Now, on to the bad. I absolutely hate the directing. There are so many scenes where I don't understand what the director was trying to do, why he was making the decisions he was making, why in editing we look back at this footage, it wasn't like let's chop here, let's cut here. In the very first episode, that if the clip is here, that means I was able to put this video up. If the clip is not here, I will repost this on my Patreon and you can watch the scene I'm talking about there. But hopefully I can keep this in this video. But there is a scene. So like, I have to set this up better. Wayne Jenkins is a crooked cop, right? And he's about to get busted by the feds. So they have him come to a police office where they are setting a sting to trap him, and they're going to arrest him. Before we get there, right, he parks in the parking lot, and we watch this man for 30 seconds walk from his car to the building from like a wide lens view in complete fucking silence. Okay? There is no music playing. It's just him and his footsteps in the concrete for 30 seconds. And I do not understand, because he speaks to two cops that are outside the building and then just silence him walking. And I do not understand why that scene was not cut and spliced up. Why are we watching him walk from his car to the building in real time? It is insane.
You see, and that good police work here, huh? You know, committing suicide by cigarette. Got a date with IAD? Yeah, shit. Yeah, vehicular. Can't fuck with Superman. Word turn.
The narrative structure and the constant jumping around makes it extremely difficult to keep the timeline straight, because We Own the City takes place over a course of several years. From, I think, the earliest year is like 2004, 2005, up to 2017. So that is a decent chunk of time that we are consistently jumping back and forth from, and it is very difficult to tell what year we're in and what exactly time this is all happening. And the only way you can kind of figure out that you're in a different year than the last scene is by John's terrible fake facial hair. Because, like, his facial hair gets worse as the years go by. Whose decision was that to add that ugly fake hair, but it was a bad one? So, like, it is, like, very, like, confusing at points to pinpoint where you are in the timeline and what character is taking part of the narrative at this point, because new characters get introduced that came in through the years, and I'm like, were you there from 2008, 2010, or did you come later? It's hard to follow along. And, like, in theory, the way they transition the years looks cool. It's a whole, like, little police report comes out and you can see them, like, typing to fill it out, and in theory that looks really cool. But after that, I don't remember what year we're in, and there's really no markers to really distinguish, like, are we in the mid 2000s, are we in the 2010s, are we in the late 2010s? You can't really tell. It's just all happening, and I kind of gave up trying to figure out, like, when everything was taking place, because it's just the way it also rapidly happens is very confusing for an audience. The dialogue in a lot of places is very clunky and very cringy and just sometimes even hard to watch. And I'm just like, no human being, like, interacts with another person like this. And I'm going to get into why I also think some of the dialogue was so unnatural, because it plays into another point I have. But just know the dialogue was bad, especially for John. Again, a fantastic actor, but he could only do so much. And there were scenes with him playing Wayne Jenkins where, like, I had to, like, kind of skip through it because I was like, this is hard to listen to. This don't sound like a person at all. And again, John, fantastic actor, but you can only do so much for pennies. I also wish we spent more time with the victims of the gun trace task force. Pretty much every person we meet who is not a police officer is indistinguishable from each other. And I hate that because the citizens of Baltimore are greatly affected by these police officers. Their whole lives and perspectives have been shifted and molded because of their interactions with these police officers, and they're not well fleshed out. There would be no issue with these police if they were not interacting with the citizens of Baltimore the way they were. And that's why I feel like it is a huge disservice for us to not follow along with some of these people who were affected by them. I do not understand the creators and writers' decision to try to make Kevin Davis into this good guy slash martyr. If you did not watch the show Kevin Davis, he is the police commissioner, and it very much so felt like they were trying to make it seem like Davis was a good guy who just inherited a corrupt police department and that he had no idea what was actually happening, which I call bullshit on, because it got to a point that a Baltimore rapper was rapping about how corrupt Baltimore Police Department was. They talked about the fact how difficult it was in cases that involved police officers to get jury members because pretty much all Baltimore citizens have a horrible, horrible, horrible interaction or interactions with the Baltimore police. And you are telling me the police commissioner had no fucking idea, none whatsoever, of the corrupt shit that was happening right there. Just completely blind to it all. And I do not, and again, we will get back into Kevin Davis later on, again, why it is bullshit. He's not a good person. I also do not like the fact that they were using Freddie Gray's name every chance they could and using it as an excuse for why cops don't want to get out of their car and police. That man is dead. Please let him rest. There was not an episode that went by that we did not hear them invoke Freddie Gray's name at least 60 times. Please let the dead rest. It was fine the first episode, but for 6 episodes straight, heard his name a minimum of 60 times. I also don't like how We Own This City depicted what happened at Madame Mall on April 27, 2015. In the episode, it shows the police against a group of grown adult rioters, which is not what actually happened that day. It was a group of local children who went down to that shopping center, and these police officers beat on these children. They were not the grown adults that the show had depicted. That is not what actually happened. I do not like the fact that they added fictional characters to this very real situation and it then forced the writers to create conversations and situations that never happen in order for this fictional character to make sense in these very true events. And that plays into the fact that why some of the dialogue was so clunky and so weird. It was because this person was never there. This person never existed. These conversations and a lot of these situations never happened. And if they did happen, again, this person was not there. And I feel like when you're working with true events, adding characters for what? This is something that really, really happened. Adding someone that wasn't there just feels unnecessary. I do not like the depiction of the death of Sean Suiter. Now, Sean Suiter, early on in Wayne Jenkins' career, was his partner. He was not fully ingratiated into the crime that Wayne Jenkins was doing, but he seen enough. He was not a part of the stealing money from citizens and only checking in a couple thousand back to the department. He wasn't a part of the stealing drugs and redistributing the drugs back in the community, and he was not knowingly part of the planting guns on citizens in order to prove that these arrests were lawful. He was not fully a part of it, but he witnessed what was happening early on. He was not fully into it, but he'd seen enough. And he was asked to come on the stands. And there's a very good chance that if he were to testify that he would lose his job. Now, what the Baltimore Police Department wants us to believe is that Sean had staged his own murder, that he pretended to be in pursuit of a suspect and then the suspect shot him, but in actuality he unalived himself. That makes absolutely no sense because Sean would know that they would be able to trace the bullets back to his own gun, that the forensic scientists would be able to look at the gunshot wounds and tell that those were self-inflicted. And Sean Suiter was a father of 6. Now, I don't know if you guys know this, but if you unalive yourself, pensions, life insurance, your family does not receive any of that if you end your own life. And as a father of 6, it is very, very hard for me to believe he would leave those children with absolutely nothing. No good father would ever do that. And I genuinely do not believe Sean Suiter would do that to his family. Now, what is believed by many of the citizens of Baltimore is that he was murdered, possibly murdered by his partner or another police officer because he was supposed to go and testify. To me, that makes far more sense because there's no way that the narrative of him ending his own life would have gone far. And to this day, his death has been ruled a homicide and has not been solved. Now, following the death of Suiter, Kevin Davis told you was coming back to him, ordered an occupation of the West Side, which is the area in which the murder took place. The residents of Harlem Park were essentially living under martial law for a week. They were not allowed to enter or leave the area. If you needed groceries, if you had to pick up your kids, it was done, it was over. The police had complete control of that area for a week. 4 residents from that area actually sued the city and won, I think it was $24,000 each, and they were awarded that in 2021. So this is all still very, very recent. And it very much so boggles my mind, but still very much so intentional, why that part of the story was completely glossed over. Again, it did not fit their narrative that Kevin Davis was a good person, but I'm like, he ordered police occupation of an area. People could not leave or enter their homes. If you wanted to get into your home, you had to show proof of ID and a whole bunch of other mess. Like, martial law was happening. That is essentially what he ordered. But Davis is a good guy. If you really want to find out what was happening at Baltimore at that time, I highly recommend reading I Got a Monster by Bernard Woods and Brandon Soberbrough. Listen, one thing about me, I'm going to always recommend a book to read. Do I believe that We Own the City could be the successor we've been looking for The Wire? I don't think so. I think the only thing that We Own the City really succeeds in is making you want to rewatch The Wire. Because The Wire, to a lot of people, is a masterpiece. And I can understand why. And I feel like We Own the City has really big shoes that they tried to fill, and they didn't fill them, in my opinion. Again, I feel like if you're looking for entertainment and you're not looking past that, We Own the City is great. But for the whole list of reasons I mentioned in this video, I think that's what stops it from being a good successor. And I think another thing that also was a con for We Own This City is the fact that a lot of these events they were depicting happened so recently. So many people fully remember what happened, and to watch it play out on screen and be something completely different was a strike against the show. The people of Baltimore have not forgotten what happened in 2017. But yeah, that's it for me. What are your guys' thoughts and opinions on We Own This City? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Are you somewhere in the middle? Are you just here because you just love the sound of my voice and want to support me? And if so, do you want to watch the show now, or have I completely dissuaded you? I promise, if you're just trying to enjoy something, it is fine. The dialogue and the directing are kind of bad. I will not take that from you. That is not super great. And it is kind of cringy. But past that, it's a fun time. See, I feel weird saying that because, like, corruption isn't fun. But they make it seem fun in the show. Yeah, that's it for me. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye, guys.